Hi, Jackson. I'm going to read a story that you may have heard of before. It's called Little Red Riding Hood, written by Lisa Harkrader and illustrated by Wendy Edelson. Once upon a time there was a little rabbit who always wore a bright red cloak with a hood. Her name was Little Red Riding Hood. One day, Little Red Riding Hood and her mother packed a basket full of good things to eat. They filled it with her grandmother's favorite foods like carrots, orange blossom honey, and homemade bread and tarts. "Take this basket straight to grandmother's house," said Little Red Riding Hood's mother. Then with a kiss on the forehead, her mother sent Little Red Riding Hood off through the woods to grandmother's house. Little Red Riding Hood had not gone far when a wolf approached her. "Where are you going?" he asked. "I'm not supposed to talk to strangers," said Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf looked at her basket. "A picnic?" he asked. "It's not a picnic," said Little Red Riding Hood as she held the basket close. "It's a basket for my grandmother." The wolf sniffed the basket to find out what was inside. "No flowers?" asked the wolf. "I would never visit my grandmother without a big bunch of flowers. Perhaps you should stop and pick some for her." Little Red Riding Hood thought that was a good idea. She picked buttercups and daisies while the wolf ran down the path toward grandmother's house. Grandmother was rocking in her favorite rocker, mending her favorite apron. She did not hear the door creak open. She paid careful attention to her needlework, so she did not see the big hairy wolf sneak into her little house. The wolf slipped into a closet and waited until he was sure that grandmother was alone in the house. "Grrr!" snarled the wolf as he sprang from the closet. "Oh my!" cried grandmother as she jumped up from her chair and knocked over the table. Grandmother ran out of that house as fast as she could. The wolf looked through grandmother's closet and found her nightcap, gown, and some glasses. He put them on, leaped into bed, and pulled the covers up over his nose. Little Red Riding Hood arrived a few minutes later. "Grandmother, are you home?" she called from the open door. "In here, my little dumpling," the wolf said softly. Little Red Riding Hood hurried inside. "Grandmother, what big ears you have," she said as the nightcap slipped off the wolf's head. "All the better to hear you with, my dear," said the sneaky wolf. Then grandmother's glasses slipped down from the wolf's eyes. "Grandmother, what big eyes you have," said Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to see you with, my dear," said the wolf as he slowly pulled the covers down from his face. "Oh, grandmother," said Little Red Riding Hood, "what big teeth you have." "All the better to eat you with, my dear," growled the wolf as he jumped off the bed. "You're not my grandmother," screamed Little Red Riding Hood. "Why, you're the big bad wolf from the forest. What have you done with my grandmother?" The wolf chuckled. "You will never find out, my dear," he said. "That's what you think," said someone behind them. Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf turned around. There was grandmother standing in the doorway with a big, strong lumberjack. The wolf chuckled again. "One old lumberjack cannot catch a quick and smart wolf like me." The wolf leaped down the bedroom window, but he did not get very far. Little Red Riding Hood quickly grabbed the wolf's tail, while grandmother snatched her nightcap and pulled it down over the wolf's eyes. The lumberjack picked up the wolf and carried him off towards the river. Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother followed closely behind to see what would happen next. When the lumberjack finally reached the river, he set the wolf down on a big log and quickly pushed it into the water. The wolf sadly sailed away down the river. "He doesn't look so big out there in the middle of that wide river," said grandmother. "He doesn't look so bad and mean when he's that far away from us," said Little Red Riding Hood. "And he doesn't look like he will be coming back any time soon," said the lumberjack. With the wolf safely gone, everyone went back to grandmother's house and enjoyed the food in the basket. As grandmother sipped some tea, she smiled at Little Red Riding Hood. "You are very brave," she said, "and I'm glad I'm your grandmother. From that day on, Little Red Riding Hood never had to worry about the wolf when she traveled through the woods to her grandmother's house. The end.